we will have the most, I'm learning from you, this is going to be the greatest contract ever crafted in the federal government for this build for air traffic control. Really, it's innovative, and we have unique tools at FAA. It's going to be a great contract. Bobby left me out of the windmill conversation, Bobby, so there was a study done in the last administration that said if you build windmills 1.2 miles, within 1.2 miles from a roadway, it can mess up the automation and technology on a car. Same thing 1.2 miles from rail. The last administration buried that report, Mr. President. And so now what we've said is, what we're going to do is say, listen, I'm sorry, it is a safety risk to build windmills this close to roads. By the way, they want to build them by roads and by rail. We're going to say no more. It is a safety risk, and we have a report to show that. And just real quick.
That's a good idea. That's great.
Good team effort. I wasn't invited to the party, but I'm still going to throw in the party. Maybe next time, Bobby. One last thing. We have this Mars to Moon mission at NASA. No, Moon to Mars mission. Sorry about that. But sometimes people think that space doesn't matter to them. But if you look at every rocket that's launched, the machinists, the truck drivers, the electricians, the welders that build these rockets in the industry that has developed over the course of the last 10 years in space, it's truly remarkable. It's not just rich guys sending up rockets in partnership with NASA. There's a whole industry of working men and women who we celebrate this weekend that build, refurbish, design the rockets that are making America the leader in space. So thank you for your leadership, and happy to celebrate this weekend with you, Mr. President.
Really great. And he is doing a good job at NASA too, and we are, I think we'll have some pretty exciting announcements. Yes, and you enjoy it.
And fun.
I said, how about temporary? He said, well, can I go a little bit longer? He loves it. He loves it, and he's doing a really good job. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Howard, please.
So, making America great again is one of the key statements, and people don't always understand what you mean. So we always talk about 1870 to 1913, but in the mid-1980s, America owned more of the rest of the world than they owned of us. We owned $140 billion of the rest of the world net of what they owned of us. And when you came into office this time, the rest of the world owned $24 trillion more of our assets than we owned of theirs. And so when people argue with you about, the trade deficit is nothing, the trade deficit sends 1.2 trillion of our dollars to them. And what do they do with it? They buy the great America. Because when we learned in college, what we learned was that if you keep printing these dollars, they're supposed to devalue. But the problem is we're too smart. We invented the light bulb, the transistor, the GPU, so they keep buying us. And the only president ever to understand that, and you understood it in the 80s and the 90s, and I used to see you on TV and you'd say, God, what are these people doing? And finally we've changed it. So let's go over what we've changed. So Japan and Korea, they're never gonna open their markets to us. So we've negotiated $900 billion that they're giving you to invest in national and economic security in America. The European Union, the second largest economy, $20 trillion. And all the experts said you'd never get a deal done with them. And watching you in Scotland was my favorite thing, right? 15%, they'll pay us 15%, and we will pay zero. So we can export to their $20 trillion economy, and they can pay to come to the great American consumer, right? So, a couple of other things. 4 days before you took office, the Commerce Department, which had the CHIPS money, they set up this thing called NatCast, which was a make-believe not-for-profit. And they signed contracts to wire them $7.4 billion. This was just nonsense. So we stopped the payment. We've got the money. It's an illegal thing to try to set up a department that's not the Department of Commerce, that kind of acts like the Department of Commerce. And what was it filled with? All these people who work for the Biden administration. I mean, it's exact corruption that you talk about. $7.4 billion now clawed back. Last week was the most fun. In 1 week, Intel came in, right? The Biden administration had given $11 billion to Intel, given it to them, done. Corporate just gift. And you turn that into really, you know, it was like less than 5 minutes of conversation. And Intel agreed to give us 10% of their company, which of course was worth $11 billion. So it's not socialism. This is capitalism. If you give someone $11 billion, who's just building in America, they're not doing something special, they're building in America. And their CEO told the president he didn't need the grant. And you said, well, then why don't we get something for it? So it's amazing. You're going to watch semiconductors come home, right? We don't produce semiconductors. We've got $165 billion for TSMC, but you're going to watch the whole ecosystem come home because Donald Trump is the only president who understands the magnet to make them come home is one word, which used to be a favorite word. Now it's dropped to number 4, which is tariffs, right? Tariffs are going to bring semiconductors home. They are going to empower Bobby to execute MFN. Tariffs are going to be one of those tools that he's going to use to do that. We're going to do it for furniture. We're getting autos. We got steel, aluminum. I mean, it has been a blast, a blast. So 2 more things. The Department of Commerce is going to start issuing its statistics on the blockchain because you are the crypto president, and we are going to put out GDP on the blockchain so people can use the blockchain for data distribution, and then we're going to make that available to the entire government so all of you can do it. We're just ironing out all the details so we can do it. Patents. We have given tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars to universities for them to do research, and they invent things. And you know who owns those patents? The universities. So we are going to make a deal with them all, which is if we give them the money, don't you think it's fair that the United States of America and the taxpayers who funded it get a piece of that, right? So we wrote a letter to Harvard, so Linda and I working together. I mean, it's so much fun to work with everybody here. I mean, we just have a blast, you know, because Linda's hitting Harvard and she says, what can we do? And now we send them a patent letter and we'll hit them again. So we're having fun together. This is the greatest cabinet working for the greatest president, and I just want to say thank you. I'm having the time of my life working for you, Mr. President.
Thank you. That was very well stated, wasn't it? Some things people don't think of too much. Thank you very much. Great job. Pete?
Sir, well, amen to what Howard said. And I would just say, heading into Labor Day from the American military, sir, we happen to be the largest employer in America. We like to think we have a different form of employees who need to be the toughest and the strongest and the most well-trained and the most lethal. And under the previous administration, and for decades, frankly, it was social justice, it was political correctness, it was divisive ideologies seeping into the ranks and changing how well we do our job. No more. Now it is only merit-based, gender-neutral, colorblind. The best of the best from the top to the bottom, that's our expectation. And sir, you've enabled that. So from the troops directly, which they ask me to say all the time, thank you for your leadership, for your boldness, for your clarity, for common sense, for providing a shield for the rest of us to put America first and to apply peace through strength. We're in the strength business. That's our job, is to stand behind everybody here and alongside John in everything they do to keep the country safe. And the world is noticing. And I wish everybody could. There were 2 meetings yesterday that I think tell the story. One was, because today happens to be the 4-year anniversary of what happened in Abbey Gate in Afghanistan. Mr. President, you had the families in, who you've met with multiple times, who, when the cameras were on and not on, acknowledged, sir, you were the only one that gave them a proper greeting, that recognized what they gave their sons and daughters in the debacle that was the withdrawal in Afghanistan, that we will bring accountability for at the Defense Department through our investigation.
That's good.
But at the same time, the world, sadly, took notice. Whether it was Israel, whether it was Ukraine, those wars never would have started if you were president. Instead, they looked at the foolishness of Joe Biden. Under your military, your Pentagon, we are restoring deterrence. whether it's Midnight Hammer and those beautiful B-2s, 37 hours straight, whether it's counter-drug operations in our own hemisphere, whether it's the border, working with Christie and the national security team, whether it's LA, whether it's Washington, D.C., you name it, whether it's Europe. Our allies paying 5%, now our allies in the Indo-Pacific stepping up to do the same. That's a recognition that American leadership is here. And then in the second meeting, we were talking about what we're doing in D.C. and Pam's taking the lead. I have to say, just pause for a second. When I look around this table, yes, there's a national security team of Steve Witkoff and John and Scott and Howard and the vice president and Susie and Christy and Tulsi, but to every person here, we work together on a daily basis. And if you call me and I call you, the answer is yes, how do we do it together? I think that's exceptional. It's what the American people deserve, and you've demanded that, sir. So I very much appreciate it. In that meeting on DC, I started my sentence by saying, the Department of Defense, to which you said that just doesn't sound right. So maybe next time we're here, my card will read Department of War. We'll see. But it's not, here's the thing, here's what people miss. It's not just about words. It's about the warrior ethos. It's about what the department is supposed to do. George Washington started the Department of War because he wanted us to win our wars. Our founders didn't want endless foreign entanglements. They didn't want endless contingencies and deployments. They wanted an empowered military that the handcuffs were taken off to fight to win, and then bring those troops home. So my platoon in Guantanamo Bay, our motto was, those who long for peace must declare for war. We must prepare for war. We don't want war, we don't seek it. You are the peace president, sir. Because we are strong, our enemies know what we will do. And so whether it's Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, that warrior ethos is changing. We're going back to basics. Our drill instructors can be drill instructors again, sir. So from the minute of the tactical of standards to the strategic of B-2 bombers, we're focused on what matters. Had a meeting yesterday on Golden Dome for America, which is on track to deliver strategically for the American people. Munitions and the Deputy Secretary making sure our stockpiles are overflowing. That's our job. I'm an honor to be a part of it, sir. Thank you for your leadership.
That's great. I think I like Department of War better, but we'll make that decision, right? But you've been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So Marco, go ahead.
Well, Mr. President, first of all, everyone's made this comment already and needs to be echoed again. You were elected as the President of Working Americans, and that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so,
It's true.
and, but on the point of, you made it very clear from the outset, even in foreign policy, everything we did has to be pro-American. It has to make America stronger or safer or more prosperous. And there's just a few things I want to touch to because it involves your team under your leadership making it happen. The first is, for the first time in the modern era, we are truly on offense against organized cartels that are pumping poison, killer poison, into our cities. And that's a team effort. It's Christie's team, it's Pete's team, it's Pam's team, and obviously it's under your leadership. And by the way, we're getting incredible economic, international cooperation. Countries just in the last week, Ecuador, Paraguay, Guyana, Trinidad, today Argentina, all joining us or trying to be helpful in advancing this. And this just, one thing is we're going to stop drugs from coming in and we're having record seizures, but another thing is to build an international coalition against the scourge on the international stage. The second is mass migration, illegal mass migration, which is dangerous for the country but harmful for American workers. What's happening on the border is essential, but it's not just what's happening on the border. And again, Christy and her team have been essential in this. We have countries all over the world that are actually helping us, whether it's through safe third country agreements, whether through it's stopping the migration flow from coming here in the first place. Incredible international cooperation. You've redefined our border. It's no longer just our physical border. We are doing things ahead of time to prevent this from happening and getting cooperations from countries that we've never seen before. And last, I would say, and Steve touched upon this, who, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job. Steve is both a great negotiator and he's also a nice guy, which are 2 tough things to pull off together. But it's incredible. But we both work for the peacemaker in chief. Think about it, how fortunate we are as Americans to have a president who's made peace a priority. And just since the last time we've met, there was a war going on in Cambodia and Thailand. Between Cambodia and Thailand. The president just picks up the phone and tells them to stop fighting, and within 72 hours, the fighting had stopped. There's no other leader in the world that could have done it. And the fact that you were willing to spend time to do that, and to make it happen is, of course, essential. And then the war that didn't happen because of Azerbaijan and Armenia coming here to sign that peace deal, which is historic in so many countries. You know how many countries said, "I think it's never going to happen, it isn't possible," and it occurred, Mr. President, because of your leadership. And then on a point of personal privilege, I wasn't even going to raise it. I haven't even talked to you about this. It's a little controversial, but I think I need to bring it up at this time of year. This thing about people getting married on Saturdays during college football season is a scourge, Mr. President. It's dividing families. I don't know if we can have an executive order on this. It's insane, but it's really difficult. There's 7 other months of the year that people can get married, so I just wanted to say that because it's very, very difficult. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Doug, please.
Well, Mr. President, you've heard from around the table how people are grateful to have an opportunity to be part of this team, have an opportunity to work for you, and have an opportunity to serve the American people. And I would say as we head into this Labor Day, the thing that really differentiates you and your leadership and everybody around this table is one word, and that's respect. Because this is a group of people that respect our farmers and ranchers. We respect the people that are in law enforcement. That's a huge change. Respecting the people that are in uniform, respecting our veterans, respecting our shrimp fishermen. I mean, whoever it is in this country, people that are building our roads. This whole group embodies that sense of respect. And when we start with that, then who benefits? We come up with policies that help those people. And what have you done? You've led an opportunity for us to have the lower taxes, way lower deregulation, record amounts of investment that's coming into this country. We're going to be seeing lower interest rates. All of those things coming together is a gift to the working people. The policies are lifting everybody up. There's 140 million Americans that get up and go every day and drive to work. They commute. And one of the most obscene things of the prior administration was their energy policies was creating a hidden tax on those people. The poorer you were, usually the further you had to drive because you couldn't afford the housing if you were working at a hotel, if you were working in a service industry. We were taxing them. A hidden tax on them was the high cost of energy. You're perhaps one of the only leaders in the world that understood the connection between peace abroad and prosperity at home was directly connected to energy policy. You came in and said, we're going to sell energy to our friends and allies. We're going to bring prosperity at home through policies here by having lower energy prices. And we're going to stop funding wars abroad with energy policies that helped our adversaries and hurt us. You said we're going to sell energy to our friends and allies. And with the work that Jameson and Howard and Scott and everyone has done on these trade deals, we're going to have an opportunity to have a renaissance in American energy, selling energy to the world, which is going to help bring peace abroad. But the real key thing, in closing, I want to say is 2 things. One has to do with the U.S. Park Police. That's the group here in Washington, D.C. They're the oldest uniform law enforcement group in the nation. You coming out and visiting with them in person before they went out on the surge. Not only are carjackings down, muggings down, homicides down, everything down, morale is through the roof. Just like Pete saw, we've got record people signing up to want to be part of our military. You have breathed life back into the profession of law enforcement. Your respect for law enforcement is so incredible. It's making a difference. And then us giving them the tools. On a lighter note for everybody here, one of the rules that under President Trump we were able to change for the U.S. Park Police was they could do a pursuit. I was shocked to find out when we were talking to them, like, oh, you pull somebody over and they just drive away and you can't pursue them? I mean, and they said, no, we can't. They said, all rules. We got that rule changed in 24 hours because of President Trump's leadership. The next night, they had so much fun. They pulled people over. They started to take off. They chased them. They stopped them. And then the bad guys, some of these were in cars that had stolen plates. So they take the plate off. They steal them off somebody else's car. They know it. The plate doesn't match. They know they're doing this thing. The bad guys in the car said, What, you're not supposed to chase us. Like, you're breaking the rules. The bad guys are telling us to bring them. No, we're back in action. So it's like, and so the morale is high. They all wanted to say thank you to you. Yesterday, you announced increasing the number of U.S. Park Police that we're going to hire. This is the group that protects not only our sacred monuments of democracy here, but also the Statue of Liberty and the Golden Gate. This is a great group. But on behalf of all law enforcement, we say thank you. And as Chris Wright was talking about electricity, I want to close with that. We've solved amazing things in 7 months, but the big challenge we have against the remaining is, solving Iran's nuclear thing, that was an existential threat. China beating us in the AI arms race, that's an existential threat. We finally have a president who talks about it. You talked about it in your opening remarks. You've signed executive orders. You understand that essentially we used to say hundreds of years ago, people started saying that knowledge is power. But now, for the first time in history, we can take electricity and we can convert it into intelligence. So it's flipped. It's no longer knowledge is power. Power is also knowledge. And while we're ahead on the technology, we're way behind China on the amount of electricity they're bringing online. And your strong position to support affordable, reliable energy using our nation's resources, including those across the Department of Interior, bringing back coal mining, bringing back mining, bringing back timber. All the industries that have been killed in this country are coming back to life because of you. And with your leadership, we have a chance to not only win the AI arms race, but actually dominate it the way we're dominating in other things. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And we're leading that race right now by a lot. And we're going to keep the electricity coming. You know, in China, they do it very quickly. They have one person that says, do it, and that's it. But essentially, we have one person that says, do it. And we've given that order, and the job they've done has been amazing. And I want to thank again, Lee, what you're doing in that regard is so important. And the rapidity, just as fast as them, because it's a question of a week versus a day, and that's not going to make the difference. But you've done fantastically, and Doug and Chris, amazing job. So we've done this for a little while now. I don't think you've ever seen anything like it, and you know, I think Sean was right. These guys that are holding these up, if you ever try holding your hand out for 2 hours, that's a long time. These are pretty strong characters. You've been doing that a long time, I guess. Congratulations. Are you getting tired? Are you getting tired? I'm looking at these guys. They look like they have no problem. It's amazing, actually. It's I think they would have beaten you guys in the test. So I want to thank you. If you want, you know, it's been a long time. If you want, we could go in and we can call it a day. And feel free then to ask some of the questions here. Look, I believe in very open, you know, we want to be open, above board. We want to be honest with the media. I wish the media was totally honest with us, but I think they're getting better, to be honest with you. And so we'll see. But if you want to take a few questions, you really
On a serious note, when it comes to Fed Governor Lisa Cook, her lawyer has said that they're going to be filing a lawsuit challenging this legal action. What is your response? Are you prepared for a legal fight? And then a little bit more.
Oh, sure.
Of
Always.
a
You always
happy
have
question,
legal
sir.
fights. Look,
And
I
then
had a
one
legal
football.
fight that went on for years with crooked people, with very horrible people that have been found out now between John Ratcliffe and Tulsi and Pam. And I mean, the things that we found out, of course, it's a very, very sad group of people. But no, she seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, and especially that infraction, because she's in charge of, if you think about it, mortgages, and we need people that are 100% above board, and it doesn't seem like she was. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, first, I would love to ask you a serious question, but I have to tell you the biggest pop culture news of the year broke while we were in this cabinet meeting. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged, and the world wants your reaction, sir.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck.
Thank you.
No, I think I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
On a serious note, Mr. President, in May, Secretary Rubio said that they were aggressively removing visas of Chinese students. Yesterday, you said you wanted to allow 600,000 Chinese students to study in the United States. Could you and the Secretary clarify what is the policy on Chinese students in the United States of America?
Well, we think we're getting along very well with China. And I'm getting along very well with President Xi. I think it's very insulting to say students can't come here, because they'll go out and they'll start building schools and they'll be able to survive it. But I like that their students come here. I like that other countries' students come here. And you know what would happen if they didn't? Our college system would go to hell very quickly. You'd have, and it wouldn't be the top colleges. It would be colleges that struggle on the bottom. And you take out 300,000 or 600,000 students out of the system. I like having, and I told this to President Xi, that we're honored to have their students here. Now, with that, we check and we're careful and we see who's there, and Marco wants that. We spoke, we're in the same position. But we have a tremendous college system, the best in the world, nobody even close. That's why China sends them here. And you can call it an industry if you want, but you're talking about millions of people. And I'm honored to have the students from China come here. And we're just getting along very well with China. And it's a different relationship than we had for years, where they took hundreds of billions of dollars, just sucked it right out of our country. They respect us again. I respect them. The relationship is very good. I think it's important that these are two very major powers, nuclear powers at that, but two very important powers. You know, when I get along with Putin, when I get along with President Xi, when I get along with these people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. We're tough and we're smart and we're strong. We get along. It's a lot better than not getting along. You had somebody in here before. The war should have never started with Ukraine and Russia. It would have never started. And Putin said that himself. President Putin said that himself. So we want to see college students come in from countries. There are some countries that we can't necessarily say that. These are places that have ideologies that we can't live with. So there are some areas, some countries that we can't say that. But we're honored to have the students come here. Please. Yeah, please.
Yesterday you said that within 2 to 3 weeks we'd have a pretty good conclusive end to the war in Gaza. What did you mean by that? And could you tell us?
On what?
In the war in Gaza. You said
What about it?
You said in 2 to 3 weeks we would have a conclusive end, a pretty good conclusive.
There's no conclusive. It's been going on for a long time. You're talking about, I guess if you really add it up, Steve, you're talking about thousands of years, okay? It's been going on there's nothing conclusive, but hopefully we're going to have things solved very quickly with regard to Gaza and also with regard to Ukraine and Russia.
Mr. President, who are you considering for the replacement to nominate for Lisa Cook, and what economic background or history are you?
Well, we have some very good people for that position, and I think we have some very good people. We're down to, I think I maybe in my own mind have somebody that I like, but I deal with Scott and I deal with Howard, and we're dealing with a lot of people actually that are going to be involved in that decision ultimately. It's a very important decision. As we see, I got a bad recommendation when I went with Jerome Too Late. He's too late. His nickname is Too Late. Costing us a lot of money, hurting the housing. Our housing industry is good, but it could be phenomenal. Most of this country, in economic terms, has been phenomenal. We've never seen anything like it. Because of him and his high interest rates, the housing is less than it could be. We're going to get that straightened out very quickly. He gets out very quickly, fortunately. He's been the wrong guy. Not a bad person, I don't think, but I do think he has motives, by the way, but I don't consider him. I've dealt with worse, but he hasn't done the job. The recommendation from a certain person was not a great recommendation. That person vouched for him, but we're doing a very careful study. We'll see what happens. Look, we just put a very good man in one position. We might switch him to the other. It's a longer term and pick somebody else, but we're very happy with the person we have in there. And we'll have a majority very shortly, so that'll be great. Once we have a majority, housing is going to swing and it's going to be great. People are paying too high an interest rate. That's the only problem with housing. We have to get the rates down a little bit. And when we do, it's going to be a tremendous difference. The country is doing so well. It sort of blows through the fact that we have a man who's too late and not doing a very good job. Please, in blue.
Mr. President, regarding crime in D.C., something that might help especially ladies is being able to carry. I know you've talked about reciprocal carry. Would you like for that to apply here in Washington, D.C.?
When you say carry, I assume you're talking about carry what we're talking
Concealed
about, right?
or, yeah.
In other words, carry a gun. Is that right? Would you like to carry a gun?
I would like to, yes, sir.
You'd feel a hell of a lot better, right?
I absolutely would.
I agree with you 100%, okay?
Okay, great.
But I'll tell you, within another couple of weeks, it's hard to believe what's been accomplished in 12 days, but within another couple of weeks, you won't have to carry. You're not going to have to carry. You're going to be safe. People are safe now. The turn has gone fast. I knew it was going to go fast, but this turn has gone really fast. And within a month or two, this is going to be one of the safest places in the country. I have no doubt about it. And we'll do an extension. we'll work with Congress, or I could declare an emergency, but I don't think that's going to be necessary.
And
We'll
to
work with
that,
Congress.
you've got-
We're going to be working with Congress.